somewhere in July. We came down, we sold off 20 to 215. I think that is potentially where started to maybe just slope up. In the US stock market, there's this term called the Magnificent Seven stocks, and these are the stocks that has significant influence in the market. They have huge market caps, and these 7 stocks alone accounts for about 30% of the entire S&P 500 index. So in this video today, I'm going to share with you guys, out of these 7, right, what are the 3 out of these 7 stocks that are looking more bullish as we head into the last quarter of 2024. Hey guys, Joe here, top tier retail trader in Philip Securities, and in this video pretty much I'll be talking very quickly, is it Apple, is it Meta Platform, is it Nvidia, is it Amazon, is it Microsoft, is it Alphabet, or is it Tesla? Which of the 7 right now are they looking more bullish in a technical perspective? Can there be more upside? What are some of the potential targets that can be revised even higher? So watch this video all the way to the end if you want to know what are the 3 top magnificent stocks right now. Let's go. So the first magnificent stock would be that of Meta Platforms. The code is META. So we are trading about $595 right over here. You can see that over the past 7 to 8 months, we have actually traded below this very, very critical resistance level, the $540. Look at this, it was somewhere in April, somewhere in July. We came down, we sold off. Same thing somewhere in August, we sold off. But over the past 2 weeks, we have managed to finally broke above the 540 to 550 resistance level. So that's a good sign, because over the past 7 to 8 months though, every time we hit it there were some bearish candles that were spotted, and we sold down by about 10 to 15%. And when we sold down, right, even though it did not sell all the way down, some support came back, but the fact is that that resistance was still holding, right? It was just a lot of selling pressure there, and the short-term trend just pretty much turned down whenever we headed to that 540 to 550 resistance, right? The longer-term trend has been up for Meta Platforms, I would say, since last year. You can see since last year, I would say around April, the longer-term trend has turned up. So it started to push up from a high of about, I would say, 200 around in last year, March, to 300 to 400, and now we broke the 540. So longer term trend is up. In the short term, we rallied, and then past 7 to 8 months, it was just sideways, a bit of consolidation below that 550 resistance. So right now, you can see that we have broken this 540, 550 resistance, and we have headed towards our next target around the $600 psychological resistance. So over the past few days, in fact, right now, you can see that we are actually attempting, maybe even attempting to break the $600 psychological resistance. It's about $595. It's only like 1 day, but I think the next 1-2 days, next 1 or 2 weeks will be crucial. We might see a bit of a profit taking near 600. If that happens, great, right? Maybe just consolidate a bit of profit taking. And if we were to, same thing, break this psychological 600 resistance, I think that's where upside targets can be revised even higher, maybe all the way to like 650, 640. That could be the next upside target. So this is Meta Platform, one of the stocks that have came to our watch list. Right, we've traded below this very key level resistance that have been broken. We are obviously above it right now. So let me just turn this red line to green in color, because this resistance, the 7 to 8 months resistance, will now turn into a new support level. So maybe we can just shape it up a little bit, maybe not 540, but maybe about $550 right over here. I think 550 would be where we might see some bargain hunting coming out again, right? If we're to retrace slightly lower, which could be a good opportunity to get in on dips, right? If it were to retrace, back down slightly to 550, 560, 570, I think right over here, that's where some bargain hunting can come back. And you can take a look at this 20 days moving average line. You can see this green line represents what we call the short-term trend. So as I mentioned, right, the longer-term trend has been up since last year, right? But in the short term, it doesn't mean it always goes up. It can go up and down, right? Like I mentioned, it has been consolidating over the past 7 to 8 months. So you can see it going down, up, down. And it was flat a little bit somewhere in August, but over the past 2 weeks, you can see that the 20 days moving average line started to slope up. And you can see it kind of like coincides with where the support level is, right? About $550. That's where the 20 days moving average line is as well. So I think anything above that 550 to 560, I'm not saying that it will go back down there for you to buy, but as long as we stay above that 550 to 560, I think the uptrend looks intact. All right, there could be more bullish actions. We are pretty much to a next higher phase. We have got out of this 7 to 8 months of consolidation, and that would be a good thing. All right, so that is Meta Platforms, one of the 7 magnificent stock that looks more bullish. I would say you want to put it in your watch list as we head to the end of 2024. Okay, let's move on to the second stock out of this 7 magnificent stock I share with you, and that would be Apple. Right, stock code AAPL, trading at about $226 right here. So guys, if you like this video, you found some value so far, go ahead to give me a like, smash the subscribe button, hit the follow button, so that you will not miss out on any videos like this, and that will really help out the channel as well. Thank you so much. Right, so let's dive into Apple. You can see right here, over the past, I would say 2 months, we have been trading a little bit sideways, right, above this support level, and that will be around the $215. $215 was where we actually saw a couple of bullish reversal candles coming out. Look at this, right? A couple of bullish candles rebounded. We broke down somewhere in August, came back up, and you see that's where we held above, we traced lower, and buyers came out again. So $215 looks to be a pretty good support for now. It also is where the 100 days, this red line is kind of like sloping up too. So longer term trend has turned up. It is still up. It looks quite okay, right? And it coincides with this $215 as well, right? So let's talk about this trend that in terms of where we have broken over the past few months that has turned it into a much firmer uptrend in the longer term. Well, I would say that this level, I think I talked about it in my previous video as well, this level would be the $200, because since like last year in June, for more than a year, right, we have been trading below the 200, we came down, but somewhere in June this year, after a year of consolidation below 200, right, we broke that 200. So that was a very good move up. Upside targets were drawn. You can see whereby we broke this 200, it went all the way to 240, came back down, and we retested the same $200 resistance turn support. So as long as we stay above 200, I think the longer term uptrend is intact. But now it doesn't even go back to 200. I think 215, 215 buyers are starting to come back already, right? And in terms of the short term trend, you can see the 20 days moving average, this green line, it is kind of like sloping sideways. It's not up, it's not really down, it's like sideways. So what is it? Well, it just means that we are in a bit of a sideways short-term consolidation while the longer-term trend is up. Does it make sense? So that's fine as well, because as it consolidates in the short term, even though the longer term trend is up, all right, it gives you an opportunity to kind of like get in maybe near a support level. And this support, as I mentioned, 215 could be 220 to 215. I think that is potentially where some bargain hunting can come back again. So if we do hit down a little bit, we see some bullish reversal candles like a doji, things like that. That could lead the reversal all the way to the 240. So this is one of the stocks in my watch list. I think it looks pretty good. I think support has been holding quite well. It was 200. It became a little bit higher at 215. All right, even though we are just still capped below the 240 resistance. So take note, these 240 guys, it has been trading below, I would say, for about 3 to 4 months now. We are likely still trading below, right? Probably need a kicker or like a catalyst to break the 240. If that breaks, good, right? That is where potentially, for example, it might just up and down, consolidate, and finally, if it breaks the 240, that would be a good thing. That's where the uptrend could, take place, could push up even more in terms of uptrend carrying on to a higher phase. Targets could be raised from 240 maybe to 260 and even to 300 as well, right? So that's Apple, one of the stocks that's in my watch list, all right, out of these 7 magnificent stocks. So let's move on to the third and final stock out of this 7 magnificent stock, and that would be Alphabet, right? Stock code is GOOGL. And guys, if you want to find out a little bit more in terms of my entire one good trend strategy, all right, I'll just place the link below this video. Click on it, register for this free 2 hours webinar whereby I'll dive into this entire framework, the 1GT, the one good trend framework, step by step. We break it down as to how do we want to pick winning stocks like this, how do we know when to get in, maybe when to get out, and even how we have a system to guide us, with like bullish and bearish signals to guide us on entry and exit as well. So the link's right below, click on it. That's where I'll share a little bit more about the entire strategy. All right, so let's dive back into the third and final magnificent stock, and this would be Alphabet, GOOGL, trading at about $167. So let's talk about what has happened over the past 1 over year. So you can see that for Alphabet, we have been in an uptrend, I would say, in the longer term, right, in terms of the 100 days moving average, the red line crossing above the blue line since like May last year. So we have been in a very firm longer term uptrend. In fact, right now, I think the longer term uptrend remains intact. We've been forming what we call higher lows. Higher lows, that means buyers are prepared to come out on to support prices much higher over the past 1 over year. So that's a good thing, this of the longer term uptrend remaining up, right? So longer term uptrend is up. Of course, in the short term, we did see some selling happening somewhere in like beginning of the year, even somewhere in July when we got the mega cap technology stock sell down. Alphabet sold off as well. So in the short term, it was like coming down since like July, August, maybe a little bit into September. But what has happened over the past I would say 2 to 3 weeks, whereby we are starting to see some signs of strength coming back, and it could be a reversal, maybe all the way back up to retest the recent high that we've seen somewhere in July, which is about the $190. What are some of the signals that have came out? Well, you can see that this support have came out. So 150 was this very key resistance level somewhere in like February and March, right? We traded below it, we broke above it, retested it. So it became a pretty good support, and we sold all the way back down from July, all the way to around September. We retested the same 150 psychological support. So that's a very good level, right? That's where some bargain I think has came back, and we started to see some signs of the short-term trend slightly turning back up as well. How do we tell that? Well, we can take a look at the 20 days moving average. So this 20 days moving average would be this green line. You can see, right? It was like moving up, very strong uptrend in the long term, in the short term, from like March all the way to July, right? But with the mega cap technology sell down, right? You can see the green line started to turn down, right? So down. And over the past 2 weeks, you can see that this 20 days moving average line has started to maybe just slope up a little bit. If I can just zoom it a little bit for you, can see it just started to slope up a little bit. So that is a good sign, right? That's a good sign in terms of the short-term trend reversing back up. Plus, we have also got above the 160. So 160 was a temporary resistance level. We managed to get above it somewhere about 2-3 weeks back, somewhere in 18th of September. All right, great, went above it. So that would be like a new support level. So I think the range right now for Alphabet would be quite clearly from 160 all the way to 170. So that's the range, right? About a $10 range, right? And what could be a potential trade, to get in on dips near 160. I think that's, if it does dip a little bit, that's where the 20 days moving average line is. That could be a good entry to ride any reversal. And a more aggressive entry would be if we were to break the 170 psychological resistance level. This level is key. Write it down. Why? Because you can see that somewhere in July we broke down, all right, and we are still trading below it. In fact, that is also where the 100 days, let me just show you this red line right over here. This red line, 100 days moving average line, is right over here as well. So let me just shift it back down. So it kind of coincides. It's a very, very key resistance, horizontal resistance. The 100-day moving average line is that's where we saw a couple of bearish candles coming out over the past few days as well. So I think there's some profit taking coming back. But if you were to get past the 170, if you were to close above 170, like 171, 173, 174, 175, that could be another confirmation right now in terms of the reversal happening again from 170 all the way to 180 all the way to 190, pretty much back to where we were, all right, in July. So that could be kind of like the rebound after we clear above the 170 psychological resistance. So just watch it. I mean, our alerts have been set. I think that looks pretty interesting to watch. I think if you can go above it, bullish action spotted on volume as well, that could lead that reversal all the way up. All right, guys, so there we have it. These are pretty much the 3 stocks out of the 7 magnificent stocks. Let's share with you that looks a little bit more bullish, right? That might watch this for potentially more upside targets, and I hope you have taken note of some of the revised target that's much higher if we were to break those key resistance levels that I talk about. So the first stock I mentioned would be that of Meta Platforms. We have Apple, AAPL, and finally we have Alphabet, GOOGL. So I hope you like this video, guys, and as I mentioned, you want to find out a little bit more in terms of the entire one good trend strategy. How do we pick stocks like this, when to get in, when to get out? Make sure you attend one of those free webinars. The link is right below the video. Click on it, register for it, and I'll see you live at this webinar. Joey here. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.